dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Madison Carmouche. One organization in Prestonsburg has opens its doors with hopes of helping folks suffering from addiction. WYMT's RJ Johnson has more.
For more than 10 years of doing outpatient services, the East Kentucky Rehabilitation Center has opened its first inpatient treatment facility in Prestonsburg.
EKRC is really impacting their clients in a positive way and helping them to, regain control of their ambitions, their dreams that were once lost.
Lead peer support John Kane says their programs will have a positive impact on their clients.
It's so small that, people who fear crowds or have anxiety or depression issues, it's easier for them to open up to their peers, to the counselor, to the doctor.
He says it's important as providers to make an example and help as many people as they can.
That's where we as providers have to learn to lead with compassion, have some empathy for the people that we're helping, and understand that, their addiction kind of has turned them into a person that they're not really.
Kane says their biggest goal is to impact their clients as well as folks in the community.
To impact the community around us here in a positive way to help kind of eliminate the stigma that goes along with addiction.
He says they hope to further expand into traditional living and job rehabilitation into the workforce in the near future. In Prestonsburg, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Kane says he is excited to help people make the right choices through their services.
Well, after a mainly dry weekend, we are watching out for a few showers as we go into tonight, and more rain chances on the way as we kick off your Monday. Here's a look at satellite and radar at this hour. You can see a few spotty sprinkles out there, especially close to the Kentucky and Virginia and Tennessee borders. A few light showers in Bell County, also Clay into Leslie and Harlan County as well. Nothing too heavy, but a few spotty sprinkles cannot be ruled out as we go into tonight. And those temperatures are still cool at this hour in the upper 40s and lower 50s, down to 44 in Clinton Wood, 48 for Pikeville, and 50 over in Jackson at this hour. We do wake up in the middle to upper 40s as you wake up and walk out the door on Monday. And you may need the umbrella, watching out for a weak weather system, so a few showers are possible on Monday, and then a break by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then another weather system by Friday, also into next weekend. So a busy forecast on the way as we get into your upcoming work week. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Oh, Madison?
Cameron, thank you. Fall fire season is underway here in the Commonwealth. This is the 8-week period from October to mid-December that our weather conditions prove favorable for forest and wildfires to ignite. These conditions also occur in the springtime as well. This past spring, a fire started in Natural Bridge State Park and spread to the Daniel Boone State Park as well. Officials say it was a close call.
You can see the impact of an uncontrolled situation for a little bit. Thankfully, compared to the park size and what it could have been, the agencies that were involved did a great job in getting it contained.
Only 2 miles worth of the 20-mile trail was damaged by the fire. Officials believe humans were the initial cause of the burn. On Wednesday morning, the Williamson, West Virginia Fire Department responded to a structure fire. Following the fire, the teardown of the building was contracted, but around 5 a.m. this morning, officers responded to a call that there was a flare-up. The building collapsed, injuring 2 firemen. One of their injuries were reportedly more severe than the other. The Williamson Fire Department warned people to avoid 68 West 4th Avenue today, as the cleanup would be an all-day process. The Applebee's in Corbin is currently shut down after a fire started in the kitchen. WYMT's Jack Dimler spoke to officials with the Corbin Fire Department about how it all started.
At around 9:30 Sunday morning, the Corbin Fire Department was called about a fire at Applebee's.
The 911 call was they thought they had a gas leak and they thought they seen fire in the kitchen.
But when they got there, the fire was much bigger.
Fire did spread through the ventilation system to the roof, causing minimal damage to the roof. The kitchen area is pretty much a total loss as far as the stove and the fryers and the hood system.
Jackson says the call was made by employees who were getting ready for their shift.
There were 6 employees in the building at the time of the fire, all made it out without injury.
And while the call that was made mentioned a possible gas leak,
at this time we don't know what started the fire.
Jackson says now that the fire is out, the focus will be on remodeling the kitchen and cleaning the lobby.
We'll be closed for a undetermined amount of time. They said that as quick as they could get the materials in to fix the building or fix the kitchen, that they would reopen.
In Corbin, Jack Demler, WYMT Mountain News.
Jackson says their arson investigator currently has the Applebee's fire under investigation and says there should be a pretty good idea of what caused the fire after the Applebee's insurance investigator checks it out. It's National Faith and Blue Weekend. Law enforcement officers across the country are working to connect with members of their communities through faith. The Lexington Police Department hosted an event in partnership with Emmanuel Baptist Church and the Ronald McDonald House Charities of the Bluegrass. There was a donation drive collecting things like microwavable meals, warm weather clothing, and toys for children in need. The police cook team grilled out with the attendees, and the Operation Copsicle van was also there for anyone who wanted a sweet treat.
Between officers and people.
What we're trying to do is form a better relationship within the community. We have it all out here for them to come see. Once they're out here, they can learn to form a relationship with us, learn to trust us, and learn that we are here for them if they ever need help.
Faith and Blue Weekend goes until Monday. Free events like this one will continue across the country. Kentucky's Secretary of State Michael Adams wants to remind you that the deadline to register to vote or change your voter registration is coming up. You have to make those changes by Tuesday, October 10th in order to be eligible to vote in the November general election. Adams says there has been a surge of voter registration. More than 8,600 new voters registered in September. Adams says he is hopeful that this could lead to a good turnout on Election Day. You can go to register to vote on govote.ky.gov. Election Day is November 7th. The United Nations Security Council plans to hold an emergency meeting after the deadly attacks by Hamas in southern Israel that killed at least 700 people and more in the war that followed. The U.S. will send a carrier strike group to the eastern Mediterranean to Israel as it battles Hamas following the attack. CBS correspondent Haley Ott is in Tel Aviv, where families of those who are missing or taken hostage during the siege are gathering.
We've been speaking to families here in Israel who are desperately searching for missing loved ones as the death toll from the surprise attack continues to climb.
The Israeli government formally declared war on Hamas after a devastating surprise attack killed hundreds of civilians and members of the military.
This is war, and we have to fight that war and win it. We have to destroy the Hamas war machine.
On Sunday, Israeli airstrikes lit up the sky over Gaza as officials vow a long fight against Hamas. Several hundred Palestinians have been reported killed in the violent aftermath of the attack on Israel.
They infiltrated Israeli territory and killed hundreds of Israelis. At least 600 were butchered yesterday, including whole families, elderly women, children. Babies were taken out of their mothers' lap and murdered.
Israeli forces are still working to remove Hamas fighters holed up in several towns in southern Israel.
The assault isn't over. There continue to be very active fighting around Gaza.
The leader of the Palestinian terror group says militants in Gaza are holding dozens of Israeli hostages and will not release them until all Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails are freed.
Dozens of people have flocked to this center set up in Tel Aviv for families of the missing or those taken hostage. They've come for any information. They're even leaving DNA samples in the hopes that that could help find their loved ones.
23-year-old Hirsch Goldberg Poland has been missing since the attacks. Goldberg Poland's father says he received 2 short phone messages at one point saying, quote, "I love you and I'm sorry."
The Israeli government press office says over 100 people were kidnapped in the attack. For the families of the missing that I spoke to, they describe every moment that they can't find their loved ones as torture. Haley Ott, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
The Israeli Rescue Service says at least 260 bodies were removed from a music festival that came under the Hamas attack. Meanwhile, Israel's envoy to the United Nations says Sunday that now is the time to obliterate Hamas terror infrastructure. And here at home, Kentuckians are reacting to the violence as well. Earlier this evening, dozens of people gathered in front of the old courthouse in downtown Lexington, sharing their perspectives on the conflict between Hamas and Israel. Those leading the group chose not to speak on camera. They say they are concerned about possible retaliation. However, they did tell us this was not a protest, but instead a rally for the occupied people of Palestine. Coming up at 11, if you want to fully experience the upcoming solar eclipse, you may want to invest in special eclipse glasses.
Plus, we are tracking spotty showers to kick off the work week. Your Monday forecast coming up after this break.